have 44K in debt. Here's how I got out of it. The first thing that I did is I prioritized paying back the debt. I did not worry about investing. I did not worry about my credit card, rewards, points, whatever. I focused on paying back debt. If you're heavily in debt, don't even worry about your other financial goals. Your main focus should be on getting rid of the debt as quickly as possible. Number 2, you have to have complete visibility into your finances. You have to know where every single dollar and penny is going. Again, if you are making a lot of money and you're not in debt, you don't have to worry about this. But if you are in debt, you have to make every single dollar and cent work for you. Number 3 is cut expenses. This is pretty self-explanatory. When you are in debt, you got to pay back the debt, and you got to spend more money paying back the debt instead of spending money on your own expenses. So find ways to cut your expenses. It freaking sucks, but it is helpful. 4th, set a budget for paying back your debt. If you have a regular income, you have to allocate part of your paycheck and your budget to paying back the debt. If you don't really have a plan, if you don't have a budget, you are basically hoping one day that you're going to pay off your debt. When I was paying off debt, I automatically sent a portion of my income into one of my accounts I use only for paying off debt. I did not allow myself to touch that money. I did not allow myself to transfer that money into my savings or into my checking account for me to use. That money automatically was used for paying off debt. So if you automate paying off your debt, if you basically send the money in a way where you can't personally use it, that will allow you to consistently pay back your debt and pay off the balance. Next, for paying back debt, you should only spend money that you have. A lot of people get into debt because they have very impulsive spending or very wasteful spending, especially with credit cards, and these 2 points are interrelated. When I was paying back my debt, I actually started only using my debit card. There were times I would literally use my debit card to pull out cash, and I would divide my cash into different categories like gas money, groceries. And basically the reason why I did that is because every time I paid money, it's very visceral. You see that money decreasing, and that really made me limit my spending. So really only spend the money you have. If you have to use cash, use cash. If you are good enough using a debit card to only spend the money that you have, that's good. However, that also leads to the next point is sometimes if you are really impulsive and you don't trust yourself, you have to remove access to your credit cards. Generally speaking, I don't recommend this because if you shut down credit cards, that will lower your credit limit and that affects your credit score. If you really have a problem, if you will always find a way like an addict to find that credit card and spend money, at that point in time, you got to just get rid of it. You just got to cut that shit up. In terms of paying back debt, there's 2 methods. This came from Dave Ramsey. There's a debt avalanche method or snowball method. I forget which one's which. I'm going to confuse it. But basically one method is you pay back the highest interest credit card first. And the other method is you pay the lowest balance. Now, this really depends on your psychology. For some people, paying off the lowest balance gives them a sense of accomplishment, and that makes them more motivated to continue paying off debt. For other people, just paying back the highest interest, which makes more sense mathematically, is enough motivation. For me personally, I use the lowest balance first because when I was trying to pay off the highest interest credit card, it was so high that I felt like I wasn't making a dent and it was very demoralizing. But it's only when I actually started paying off the lowest balance and started to see progress that I become more motivated. So just use whatever method works for you personally. Another thing that you can do, I didn't do this personally, is doing a balance transfer. If you can transfer a balance from your credit card to another credit card, sometimes mathematically it makes sense because the balance transfer fee and the fact that a lot of these cards in the first year, they might not charge you interest on the balance transfer. And the numbers make sense for you to do a balance transfer to a different credit card, then I would go ahead and encourage you to do that if it makes sense mathematically. Okay, last but not least, this is very much akin to have rich friends or have rich family members or have a rich dad if you want to be successful in life. But if your family or friends can loan you money for paying off the balance, this can be very helpful. A lot of credit cards are really tricky. When they charge interest, it's not on your balance at a point in time, it's your average daily balance. So for example, let's say you had $1,000 or $10,000 in your credit card balance, and then you paid off that credit card balance. You might think that, hey, my credit card balance by the end of the statement period was $0, so there's no interest, right? No, that's not right, because it's $10,000 for your balance divided by 30 days in a month. That's your average daily balance used to calculate the interest rate. So point being is credit cards are really freaking tricky with their interest rates. The good thing about having family or friends loan you money, even though it might feel a little bit shameful, is the fact that oftentimes when your friends and family loan you money, it's at 0% interest, and that will really save your ass, because that interest rate of the credit cards will be what kills a lot of people with their financial goals. So there you guys have it. How I got out of 44K in credit card debt. I would highly not recommend getting into credit card debt or debt in general, unless, let's say, you're buying a home and you're leveraging that. If you can even afford it nowadays. I would not recommend getting in debt. It is one of the worst experiences. It really hung over my head the 2 years I was paying back the debt. And at the same time, I hope that the tips I gave you guys were helpful in terms of paying back your debt. And if it does help, let me know. If not, or you have anything to add, just drop it down in the comments below.